Derek, it's Tuesday the 15th of January and we're going to demonstrate the custom flashing of a Sonoff T1 smart switch, which is the UK model version 1.1 release 2. Okay, so in order to make this work we have to touch the resistor to the left of R19 here when the device is not powered on. At the same time we're going to plug it in to apply power, and once it's powered on we're going to let go of this wire. This wire is connected to ground, so we're grounding the left hand side of R19. And at this point we should have the device in special bootloader mode. If you look at the command line, we're using the ESP tool with a set of arguments on COM14. Okay. And that is a successful flash. Once you see the dots going across the screen, it's actually working. We're actually using a USB to serial converter here, and it's an FT232 card, and all the details will be in the blog. Okay, so at this point we've had a successful flash of the custom Sonota.exe, sorry, Sonota.bin file, and that's been flashed onto the light switch via the serial port connection. The next thing to do is to power off this light switch, and then we're going to connect it to its base unit. So we'll take the pins away here, programming pins. The way this was done, it did slightly involve two people, was to blue tack these 4 pins into this point here, and also take an earth from the back of the pin, and that's what I was using to ground the R19. So we can take all of that off now. So now we've just got the bare electronics card, and we've taken the Sonoff switch, and we've just wired a neutral and a live to a mains plug. So now we're going to plug this card onto this matching component here. And I'm just going to plug it in, mains power. So now the smart switch is booting up, and it's now uninitialized, and what's going to happen is it's going to start its software and create a default wireless SSID. So if I go to the laptop, which is running Windows 10, if I click on the wireless, I should see an SSID with Sonoff on it. It says Sonoff-3767. So I'm going to click on that, connect, and magically I start Google Chrome, and that menu that you're seeing is the web server sitting on the switch. So from this point onwards, what we're going to do is we're going to configure this switch, and then we're going to reboot it. So because there's no video editing going on here, I'm going to have to do a confidential finger over the lens. So 1 second. So I've put in the SSID, the password, and actually the Unix host name, which this will be known by. Now it's not essential, but the way that we're going to logically make this work is this host name is going to be the same as all the other names in the chain of equipment that makes this light switch work. So I'm going to call it shower. This is going to be a light to switch the shower light on. We're going to give it a host name of shower, and on the Demotic controller we're also going to call it shower, and then in Samsung Smart Things we're going to call it shower too. Okay, so I'm going to save that. It says device will restart in a few seconds. We've now got to go to a hidden screen, and we have a DHCP servo running, and we should be able to try and find out what IP address that's now been given, and then I can log back onto that switch. So the first thing we've done is we put the SSID in and of our home network. So when the switch boots up a second time, it will have a connection to that SSID. So according to me, it's been given an address of 115. Okay, so I'm going to reconnect to our home network. And now I'm going to go to 192.168.1.15. And there we have it. So we've got a different web server prompt now. This is the Sonoff basic module, but this is not a basic module. This is a Sonoff T1 switch. So one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to go to configuration. Nothing happens. I'm going to configuration, configure module, and I'm going to say this is in fact a Sonoff T1 switch. It's a Sonoff T1 switch. Save that. Many of these things cause the whole system to reboot, which is fair enough because you only need to do this once. Now, what I need to do is several other things. I'm going to configure MQTT, Demotic, and logging, and I do that for every Sonoff Smart switch. I'll explain this here, and I must remember in part 3 of the video where I flash a 2-port switch to refer back to this point. So to continue the explanation, what we've done is we've custom flashed the Sonoff switch, replacing its firmware with the Tasmota firmware. We then plugged the electronics card into the relay, powered it on. Initially it comes up with an open network which we connect to from a laptop. So using the panel that originally comes up, we change the Wi-Fi to the house Wi-Fi and then reboot the Sonoff, where it actually reboots itself. We're at the point now where we're going to finish off the settings. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the settings, but I just want to give you the understanding of what needs to be configured and why. So we've already configured the Wi-Fi. We are actually at home here. We actually have a Demotic server, and that performs the definition of these light switches, and then that talks to Samsung Smart Things. So we have a multi-step procedure, and the way that we speak from the smart switch to Demotic is via a product that I believe stems from IBM's MQ series, which I used many moons ago, and it's called MQTT. So we are going to configure, the way that it's going to work is we're going to define a virtual switch on the Demotic. It's going to come, once you've defined the virtual switch on the Demotic, it'll come up with an index number. Then we're going to go into this point here, and we're going to say what the host is, what the port is, so we leave the default port, and then we're going to put a user ID and password in, and we don't need to change anything else. So once we've set that up, back to the main screen, once we've set that up, then the switch will effectively be functional. I also configure the logging here. I have a central computer which is on 24/7, and that will receive logging information and messages about that this switch will send out. And you can change the debug level here. So I would normally set that to information, and I put the syslogging host in here, which is the computer that's on 24/7. So then every time a switch is switched on or off, or it has some information to display, it will send that to this host. That's an optional step. So again, what we've done is we've flashed this single switch with custom firmware. We've plugged it into the module which provides the power, AC power. We've then told the switch of our home Wi-Fi network. We've then, via DHCP, gone and had a look at what address was created, and we've directly dialed into the smart switch, is what we're doing here. So now we're talking to the web server that's coming from the switch directly. And then we're going to finalize the configuration by configuring the Demotic server that we're going to talk to. And on that Demotic server, or the server that's running Demotic, is also running a program called MQTT. So the Demotic will give the MQTT index number. We're going to put that into the MQTT. Here. And that combination of the MQTT host and the Demotic index is here. Sorry, I want to make that clear. I made a slight boo-boo. The Demotic, when you configure the Demotic switch, it comes up with an index. You put that index here, and then you put the MQTT information here. So what happens is the flow of information is when you press a light switch, you press this button, it's going to use the MQTT transport to transport the information to the computer running the Demotic. Demotic is looking at MQTT and will see that a message has been sent via MQTT, and it'll look for the index number. And the index number is going to match the number that you've just been creating with your virtual switch. And Demotic is going to say, okay, that's the index number, so that's the switch for shower. And Demotic is going to then send that information to Samsung SmartThings, and then Samsung SmartThings eventually will know that the light's on. Okay, so that's how it all works. The process for the two-port switch is very similar, and I'll outline that in the next video. Thanks for watching.